I was so dedicated in my life that I stayed up every night reading scripts, accidentally overworked myself to death. After dying, I woke up in the body of a young celebrity named Thomas, who shares my name. In the original story, Thomas was a delicate, innocent flower who fell for the main male lead, Michael. On the day the protagonist returned home, Thomas found out he was just a substitute, heartbroken. He left and ended up in a fatal accident. My job is to follow the script faithfully and keep things moving forward as planned. When I first arrived, I was just a little-known actor buried by the company for years. Now I'm practically on my way to becoming an acting legend. Not even a glimpse of the main character has shown up yet. System, bro. Where's our main character? I shot a desperate mental question at the system. The moonlight of a lifetime abroad hasn't even made an appearance. That's some serious dedication to studying. Huh. The system replied while soothing me like a child. Just hang on a little longer, the moonlight's about to return home. Should be back in a few days. The system occasionally let out a baby's cry. Then came the frantic sounds of soothing a crying child. I let out a quiet sigh. The system's already got grandchildren, while our main character is still studying abroad. No comparison. No pain. Just then, Michael walked out of the study after finishing his meeting. I quickly paused the TV and jumped off the sofa, running toward him. His mood seemed good, his eyes slightly lifted at the corners. Michael. I handed him the freshly squeezed mango juice. Can I ask you something? Michael took the mango juice and glanced down, frowning slightly. His voice was cold. Just stop doing this kind of thing, there's already a housekeeper. To better fit in with the original owner's routine, I'd squeeze fresh juice every day. I even made one specially for Michael. It was healthy and delicious. Michael lifted me up with one hand and set me down on the sofa. What is it? I've long since learned Michael's ways. When he's in a good mood, you can ask him for anything and he'll say yes. And when Michael really wants to spoil someone, he'd go to the ends of the earth just to pick a star down for them. Last year on my birthday, he took me to the Arctic to see the aurora, and even named a little asteroid after me. On the highest peak of the snow-capped mountain, Michael's cool kiss landed gently on mine. Thomas, I like you. The depth of his feelings was all an act. He was seeing someone else through me. Michael seemed deeply devoted to Thomas. But in truth, he'd never stopped thinking about that white moonlight lover who'd gone abroad. He'd waited for years, only to be left unfulfilled in love. To ease the ache of longing, 3 years ago he took Thomas under his care, someone who resembled Leo by about 70%. Michael had never touched Thomas, he just loved the way he played piano. That same soulful grace that matched Leo perfectly. I carefully lifted my head and asked, "Do you have any news about Leo?" Michael's hand started to tremble, the yellow liquid in his glass shuddering back and forth. The fragile glass cup felt like it might crack apart any second in his grip. The air around us grew strangely still and quiet. Michael narrowed his eyes, a dangerous edge in his voice. "Still thinking about your ex? He's been taken care of already." "Wait, what? What did you do?" "Too bad for you, you're bound to stay single." System. Is your child still crying? If not, get here fast, someone's in danger. Michael wasn't head over heels for Leo. What's this weird act now? The system still didn't show up. That glitchy old system will get retired sooner or later. I jumped out of Michael's arms, first time I ever broke character. "Michael, where did you hide it?" Back then, I was always careful and quiet. Never dared to cross a single line, let alone talk to Michael like this. The original me was always gentle and sweet around Michael. Soft as butter in every way. The situation is urgent, I feel like the sky's about to fall. And I just can't afford to care anymore. How could the main character just vanish like this? Michael glared at me, his voice sharp with accusation. "Thomas, don't forget your place, one married man shouldn't be eyeing someone else." I stared at him wide-eyed. "Huh?" I pointed a finger at myself. Stunned. "You mean me, the married guy?" Michael glared at me with red eyes and let out a cold snort. If it hadn't been for the voice in my head, the system, I might have actually believed Michael was jealous. It gave me this strange, overwhelming feeling that he might be deeply in love with me. I mirrored his icy tone. Whoever's eyeing someone else, they know exactly who. Just a second ago, the system told me the main character isn't dead. He's on a plane back home and will land in about an hour. How could the main character possibly die so easily? Michael wouldn't let him go. Not in a million years. It's fate, just like in the original story. They'll mend what was broken and find their way back to each other. They'll love each other deeply and grow old together. And no one cares whether I live or die. Just as I thought, Michael lied to me. He must have gotten the news that Leo was coming back. He barely glanced at his phone before sneaking off to his room. After fiddling around for a few minutes, he got himself looking presentable and rushed out the door, racing to meet Leo. He was glaring at me just a minute ago. Now he's desperate to see his beloved come back, more than anyone else. The system just told me Leo's flight number. I decided to go straight to the scene myself, just to witness their long-awaited reunion. But I don't know why, I feel a tightness in my chest, like I can't catch my breath. And somehow, I'm also feeling kind of sad. Especially when I saw Michael's back rushing away, I felt like my heart had been completely emptied in an instant. The system picked up on my mood and started to comfort me. Host, you're being affected by the original owner. He cared for Michael too deeply, so it's natural he can't accept this. Maybe. I took a deep breath, threw on a jacket, and stepped out the door straight for West City Airport. During the 40-minute ride to the airport, Michael didn't call me or send a message. Now that the real love of his life is back, who'd remember someone like me, a little stand-in? When I arrived at the airport, I couldn't find Michael anywhere. Could he have made a special arrangement to meet Leo somewhere else? I picked a bench near the airport exit and sat down, making sure I'd spot them the moment Leo came out. 10 minutes later, a figure suddenly appeared in front of me. He smiled warmly and waved at me. I froze for a moment, too stunned to react right away. The system buzzed at me frantically. This is the main character's love interest, Leo. System, are you guys bugging out again? Look at this love interest. Do I really even resemble him? The system gave a noticeable cough. Where's the difference? Whenever the system is nervous, it always suddenly raises its voice and ends with exclamation marks. We're both just one nose and two eyes. Where's the difference? I couldn't argue back. Fine. Fine. If you say he looks like me, then he does. Leo grinned from ear to ear as he came over and greeted me. Long time no see, Thomas. I reached out to shake his hand. Just a light squeeze. And I could already feel my fingers turning red from the pressure. Yeah, someone who's 6'3". Of course his grip's gonna be strong. Whenever I talk to Leo, I have to look up at him. It's not just a few centimeters, I'm in shoes. And Leo's definitely over. His skin has a healthy wheat tone, a neat buzz cut, deep-set eyes, and a straight, prominent nose. The world must be going blind. The thing we have in common, we're both human beings. Even more so, we're both guys. I've got pale cool skin, almond-shaped eyes, a small round face, and slightly wavy hair. Are you really Leo? Leo waved his hand and instantly pulled me into a friendly shoulder grab. 3 years apart, and you don't even recognize me, you little ungrateful thing. I quickly pushed him away. Who are you talking to? By the time I arrived, Leo had already gone overseas. I've never laid eyes on him before. Leo, I heard you and Michael have broken up. I didn't argue. It was bound to happen anyway. Seeing that, Leo smiled. That's good. I'm really glad you came to pick me up. They just argued an hour ago, and Leo already knew about it. It wasn't hard to suspect this was all planned by Michael long before. Seeing Leo's happy expression, he probably already had it in mind to reconcile with Michael. Now was the perfect time for me to quietly step aside. But wasn't this exactly what I'd been hoping for? I'd put in 3 years of effort, just to finish the mission and get back home. System, is there any other way? The system had a hidden advantage. Once the mission was done, I'd be able to happily return to my original world. The system suddenly went serious. No. You must choose exactly as the original host did. Otherwise, you'll be trapped in this world forever. Fine. I made my way back to my little house. Just sitting there, lost in thought. Suddenly, Leo called me out of nowhere. Thomas, since you and Michael are done now, can I finally try to win you over? You turned me down once before because of Michael, so please don't do it again this time. I can make you happy too. These past 3 years, I've thought about you every single day. At this point, shouldn't Leo be happily reuniting with Michael? I quickly pulled myself up from the bed and called out to the system. System, why is this not matching the original plot at all? How come the main character is still involved with the original owner? All I heard from the system was a series of beeping noises. I couldn't make out a single word. There was a knock at the door. Knock. Knock, knock. When I opened the door, Leo was standing there holding a bouquet of flowers. Thomas. Happy birthday. I'd completely forgotten, today was the original owner's birthday. Michael had forgotten too. Only Leo, who hadn't seen me in 3 years, remembered. Thanks. Leo walked right in like he belonged there, glanced around the room, and noticed everything was for one person. A satisfied smile flickered across his face, but the air carried a faint, lingering scent of blood. Leo looked panicked and asked me, "You're hurt?" His gaze finally landed on my finger. I explained, "Just an accident." A faint grinding sound echoed through the air. Leo said, "You really need to go to the hospital," with a mix of frustration and concern. He grabbed my other hand and pulled me toward the door. As we reached the ground floor, I spotted a familiar black car parked under the tree. It was Michael's car. I was just about to wave, when Leo quickly pulled me into his car and headed straight for the hospital. I turned back, Michael's car slowly backed up, shrinking in distance. Something told me he was sitting inside, watching it all unfold. Do you think he'll be mad? Leo's first stop after coming back home was here. Not to find him. Would Michael feel hurt or jealous? That damn system, where the heck is it off to now? The plot's fallen apart like this, and it doesn't even show up to fix anything. Until the system comes back, I'm determined not to die first. I didn't get home until late after tending to my wounds at the hospital. Michael had already left. All I found was a fancy gift box sitting in the dumpster downstairs. No idea who tossed it there. The next day, I went back to the apartment I shared with Michael to pick up my clothes, but I'd rushed out yesterday and forgot my keys. Then I realized Michael seemed to have vanished. No matter how hard Leo and I tried, we couldn't get through to him. For days on end, there was no word from Michael. The past 3 years with Michael, he never once brought me to meet any of his family, and I couldn't get involved in anything related to his company. The world's so big, finding one person is almost impossible, especially someone who's deliberately trying to disappear. Michael, do you really love Leo that much? My heart ached a little. This act has gone on far too long. 3 whole years. I've been pretending to love Michael deeply all this time. Over time, I even started feeling something real in my heart. Even though I knew I was just a replacement, I still dared to hope for a tiny bit of Michael's love. The original owner didn't have much family, so I've been fully focused on acting these past few years, spending my days either at Michael's place or on set. So Leo volunteered to take care of me himself. To make sure you don't do anything reckless again, I'll be watching you closely from now on. I took a few quick steps back. No need for that. Leo liked me. And 3 years ago, after he confessed and got turned down because I was into Michael, he left for overseas. The moonlight of the one I loved, that's me too. This tangled web of feelings, can't cut it, can't untangle it. I didn't want to get too close to Leo, but he was overly eager. He showed up right when the sun rose and left only when it set, calling it looking after a sick person. Big boost every 3 days. Little one every 2. Thomas, you're too skinny, eat more. Has Michael been treating you badly all this time? These arms are as thin as bamboo stalks. Leo's actually a really great person to be with, and his care for me has been absolutely thorough. But love is all about fate. He and Michael were meant to be together. Once I find Michael, I'll step back and leave the spotlight for the two of them. When Leo showed up at my door again, arms full of packages, I decided to turn him away. Leo, did you know Michael likes you? So it's probably best we keep our distance. Thanks for everything you've done these past days. Just don't come around anymore. I'm sorry, but my answer remains the same, no. The things in his hands fell to the ground. Leo's eyes widened. Then he stood up and spun around me a few times. After showing off his impressive build, he angrily tugged hard on my cheek. Thomas, what kind of look is that? Where did you even get the idea Michael likes me? Leo's a towering 2 meters tall with a wild, rebellious vibe, still. Who knows, maybe Michael just has a unique taste. Leo's expression turned sad when he saw I wasn't getting it. Thomas, don't you remember the promise we made back then? I froze. What promise? Leo suddenly pushed me against the wall. My back pressed hard against the cold surface, with his angry face right in front of mine. I hadn't seen him this upset since he came back home. We agreed it was only for 3 years. Right? Don't tell me you actually fell for Michael. Suddenly, a strange memory flashed into my mind. 2 young faces, close and tender, hugging and kissing under a shower of romantic fireworks. The original owner and Leo were a couple. But they broke up. Leo went abroad. And the original owner found a new love, Michael. And that promise was, 3 years later. If they still felt the same way about each other, they'd be together again. But now, the original owner is dead. I took his place and forgot about Leo's love. And I went ahead and fell for Michael on my own. I'm sorry. As soon as I said it, tears slipped down my face, uncontrollable. From the original owner. Leo felt utterly defeated. He let go of me and walked toward the door, dazed and hollow. Suddenly, right in the hallway, he saw the flowers I'd placed there. A pot of white gardenia. The air was filled with the delicate scent of gardenias. Leo stared at me in disbelief. Thomas, didn't you used to hate gardenias the most? This house had been empty for so long that I felt it was missing life. So I went to the flower market and brought it back. And I don't actually dislike gardenias. In fact, I really like the way they smell. I said offhand. People change over time. Leo suddenly remembered what had happened these past few days. Every single thing he did was completely different from how Thomas used to be. At dinner, he couldn't stand spicy food at all. Yet he kept reaching for the hot dishes anyway. His favorite fruits, colors, even the way he spoke, none of it was like before. Leo hesitantly said, "Hey, Thomas, how come you're suddenly able to handle spice so well? Want to go try Sichuan food tomorrow? I can't be your lover, but being friends should still work, right? I actually don't like spicy food, but I pretend to enjoy it just to fit in with the original owner's habits." "Yeah, okay," I said, hesitating before agreeing. Leo's expression darkened in an instant, his face turning cold. "Are you really Thomas?" My heart skipped a beat. Leo's eyes were filled with scrutiny and careful appraisal. "Why wouldn't I be Thomas? Don't believe me? I'll play you a tune then." There was a grand piano sitting in the living room, and I sat down on it. Back then, I'd forced myself to practice piano relentlessly just to better match the original owner's persona. But before my fingers had even hit a few notes, Leo cut me off. Leo grabbed my shoulders hard, squeezing so tightly it hurt. "Who the hell are you? You're not him at all. Where's the real Thomas?" Leo had seen through everything. He'd figured out that this body wasn't the original owner. But I couldn't admit it. "What are you talking about? I'm Thomas. Aren't I? I am Thomas, and yet, I'm not. Would Michael, the one who's been with me day in and day out for 3 years, figure it out?" The answer is no. He's always liked Leo. I hired a locksmith to open the door to Michael's apartment. It had only been empty for a few days, but the place felt eerily quiet, with an odd chill in the air. As soon as I stepped inside, I spotted a ring box. It was sitting on the coffee table, lonely and bare, just one ring left inside. The inside was engraved with my initials. Clearly, it was a men's matching pair. The other one had been taken by Michael. Under the ring box, there was also a letter. "Thomas, I gave myself 3 years. If you still hadn't fallen for me by then, I'd let you go. I held onto your body, but never your heart, and now, after all this time, you still haven't forgotten him. I'm allergic to mango juice, yet I never turned it down whenever you handed it to me. Thomas, mango juice is something Leo loves. How long have you remembered that? 3 years. And you've always stayed polite and distant, so much so that you still only call me Michael. What about Leo? You call him Shuli with such closeness. As soon as he came back, you couldn't wait to see him, even took his flowers. Thomas, I'm letting you go. Go find him. Wish you both happiness. I won't interfere anymore." That meant Michael had always known about the past between me and Leo. It suddenly hit me. Every time I handed him mango juice, there was something strange in his eyes. And every single time, I called him Michael, strictly and formally. Michael smiled in such a tender way. That's why he always gave me whatever I asked for. Was it really me that Michael truly loved? I hadn't even finished reading the letter when a woman's voice came from the doorway. "Hello, are you Thomas?" "Yes, I am." "Hello, I'm Michael's mom. I'm sorry to bother you like this, but I'd like to talk to you about something, and also ask for your help if that's okay." Michael's mom told me a lot about Michael. It was like meeting Michael for the first time. To me, he'd always been this unstoppable, super disciplined guy who just got things done, like a total go-to person. As she kept talking, Michael's mom started to choke up, her eyes glistening with tears. "Please, Auntie, I'm begging you, could you give him another chance? Just a little love? He really likes you. He even told me just a few days ago that he's thinking about getting married. He was already going over wedding plans with me. My eyes went back to the pair of rings. So that day when Michael left wasn't because he was going to meet Leo at the airport, he'd gone to pick up the ring instead. He's always liked me all along. He wanted to propose to me. Michael wasn't an orphan by birth, but his life was just like one. His family didn't give him the home he needed. His parents were still alive. Yet he felt like he had no real home. After his parents split up, he was passed back and forth between them, never welcomed in either side. In the new family setup, he felt like an extra person, unwanted and out of place. Yelling and beatings were routine. Hunger, cold, being forgotten, and ignored came with the territory. It wasn't until he got into college as an adult that he finally escaped his family background for good. Through sheer hard work, he built a company from the ground up and became a decisive force in the business world. When he finally met someone he loved and thought about marriage, he still wanted to tell his mom. Even though they weren't close, he still hoped she'd give her blessing. No wonder Michael never mentioned his family life to me over the past 3 years, or showed me anyone from it. If I were him, I'd rather not have a family like that at all. Could there be a touch of regret in Mrs. Michael's tears, knowing she'd forgotten her son for so long, and that he'd never had an easy life? Now in her later years, she needs someone to care for her in old age. And with all her other children gone too soon in a tragic accident, she finally remembered she still had one son left. Mrs. Michael knows she's made mistakes and let him down, so all she can do is come to you, hoping you'll love him the way she should have. We've all wronged him over these years. Seeing her break down in tears, I stayed silent. As for loving Michael, I'd have done it anyway, even if she hadn't said a word. When I found Michael, he was lying in bed with a pale face. He'd lost a lot of weight over just a few days. His cheeks now sunken. His condition had flared up again. Michael had a mild insomnia issue, and when he got triggered, he'd lose his sense of security and couldn't sleep. He'd managed to keep it under control perfectly well these past 3 years, never once relapsed while with me. After all that self-control, it all came crashing down like a mountain breaking apart. The moment he caught me leaving with Leo, he couldn't sleep for nights on end. Every time he closed his eyes, all he saw was that scene. My mind flashed with images, Michael all alone, curled up under the covers, silently crying. Alone when he fell ill, alone going to the hospital. I held back my tears, walked over to his bedside, and gently took his hand. Michael, I'm here to take you home. But Michael suddenly pushed me away, his face tense. What are you doing here if you already have someone else? Yet in his eyes, there was a brief flicker of hope and surprise. After saying that, he struggled to sit up and glance behind me. I was alone, no Leo in sight. Michael, there's something I have to tell you. I like you. Michael's mind went blank for a moment, his eyes filled with confusion. What? I leaned in, cupping his slender cheeks in my hands, and kissed him. I noticed the ring on Michael's finger, gazing at his hand with envy. I said, wow, look at this beautiful ring, it's a matching couple's band. In an instant, I showed off the ring on my own ring finger, waving it right in front of Michael. I've got one just as gorgeous too. Our foreheads pressed together gently. I whispered softly, Michael, you're such a goof. You're the biggest, most ridiculously stupid fool in the entire universe. What happened between me and Leo was ancient history, like 800 years ago. The person I've always loved is you. Michael. Michael's face lit up with surprise for just a second, then fell into sadness. He couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't, couldn't tell if this was a dream or the truth. In his dreams, Thomas had said those same words to him again and again. But in reality, Thomas ended up with Leo instead. Left him standing there alone. He pushed me away, turned his back, leaving me with just a fragile, heartbroken silhouette. Muttered softly, don't lie to me. I know you like Michael. I won't interfere, I mean it. I reached out and turned his body back toward me, forcing him to face me. Michael, I want you to say it yourself. I want to hear you say that you love me. Michael coughed violently, his voice hoarse as he said, you've always known that, haven't you? I let out a bitter laugh. I didn't know. I thought he was in love with Leo all along. 3 years ago, when I first arrived, the original owner of this body was just a fresh college graduate. When he first entered the entertainment world, he was reserved and aloof, shunned and bullied by everyone. Then, because he looked a lot like Leo, Michael noticed him, and that's when his career started taking off. The truth was, the first person Michael ever saw was me. He saw me playing piano on set and fell for me at first sight, but he mistakenly thought I was in love with Leo, which led to this whole misunderstanding over the years. I'd been tricked by the system's storyline all along, believing I was just a stand-in for Leo. Fine then, neither of you can say anything nice with your mouths. So let's just skip to action. If words won't say what I mean, then I'll just show you with a kiss. But Michael's body was still too weak. I hadn't even started leaning in when he caught on to what I was about to do. He reached out and gently pushed our mouths apart. I'm still sick. I don't want to pass it on to you. These past few days, I've been buying Michael all sorts of delicious food and drinks to take care of him every single day. With my constant efforts, Michael's complexion gradually grew healthier, and he finally got better from his illness. One day, the system shrieked out loud, "Thomas, what have you done to my main characters?" I shot back, "Shouldn't that be my question for you? You nearly ruined everything for me. I haven't even reported you for negligence yet." The system's bold tone faltered a little. "You've stolen my main character Michael right from under me. Don't you think that's going too far?" I chuckled. "You have no idea, he's just that crazy about me. I can't help it." The system let out a reluctant sigh. "So, are you going back now? I suppose I could pull some strings for you. No worries if the mission isn't complete." I shook my head. "No way, I'm not going back." After Leo left for abroad, the original owner was involved in a fatal car accident. At the same moment in the original world, I died too and came into this one. I'm actually an orphan. Like the original owner, Thomas. We have a lot in common. I never even knew what my parents looked like. In the original world, I didn't have any close friends either. I was always on set, reading scripts every day. Because my real self is shy and withdrawn, everyone said I didn't fit in. Sometimes, after winning an award, a few people would suddenly appear around me. But they were all fake flattery, smiling to my face while turning cold behind my back. Here, it's different. If I leave, Michael will be alone again. I can't abandon him a second time. Later, I went to find Leo on my own and told him who I really was. He truly loved Thomas. And he figured out right away that I wasn't the person he actually cared for. But it's too late, once lost. It's gone forever. Thomas can't come back to life anymore. Seeing Leo so heartbroken, I couldn't bring myself to say anything comforting. Sorrow and joy are born alone. All I could do was whisper take care as he turned away. The next time you meet someone you like, go for it boldly and cherish them deeply. No one will wait for you for years, because you never know which comes first, tomorrow or an accident. When Michael found out I'd seen Leo, his jealousy flared up big time. I let out a soft laugh, reaching up to ruffle his hair, my heart strangely tender. Years later, sunlight filtered through the stained glass windows of the church, casting tiny beams that danced with floating dust. The organ played a low, lingering melody as Michael stood beneath the cross, his white wedding attire softening his features. Amidst the guests' laughter and applause, he took my hand, his fingers trembling slightly, leaning close to my ear. He whispered, "This life, I'll never give you another chance to leave me." I tightened my grip on his fingers in return, facing the light flooding the room, and smiled. Michael's side story. I've fallen head over heels for that boy named Thomas. I can't even believe this kind of thing would actually happen to me. He smiles so bright and warm, like a little sun, especially when he's sitting at the piano playing music. He looks like a prince who's just come down to earth. That was an unforgettable moment. The instant he turned his head and looked my way, I fell for him right then. I've never been good at hiding what I feel. The moment I found out Thomas felt the same way about me, I'd already decided on a wedding date. We moved in together naturally and smoothly. I was really happy during that time. It turned out Thomas had been lying to me all along. Beautiful roses always have thorns. I stumbled upon his little secret by accident. The person he truly loves is Leo, the man who went abroad. They made a promise to meet again in 3 years and rekindle their romance. Right now, I'm just a target during his open window period. But that's okay, I believe time will prove my love. I gave myself 3 years to wait. If Thomas still doesn't fall for me by then, I'll walk away. For 3 years, we did everything that loving couples usually do. Just like most happy couples around the world, we cooked together and curled up on the sofa to watch movies. But he never called me anything but Michael. He handed me the mango juice himself. And even though I'm allergic, I still drank cup after cup. It was just because he squeezed it with his own hands. But that constant reminder made me feel like nothing more than a stand-in. Leo's replacement. 3 years had passed, and Thomas brought up Leo on his own. But that day was his birthday. I had personally crafted the matching rings. I was ready to propose. By the time I got back with the rings, Thomas had vanished. I checked his phone's location. He'd gone to the airport. That night, I was waiting downstairs and watched Leo climb up with a bouquet in hand. A few minutes later, they came down arm in arm, close and affectionate. He didn't come back for a long time. I decided to leave. It took 3 years. But Thomas still didn't fall for me. There was no reason to keep chasing after him. I can't bring myself to admit it. I've always felt insecure when it comes to love. Giving and receiving it. It's not Thomas's fault he doesn't love me. There are so many people who don't love me. So why hasn't anyone ever truly loved me? A colossal mix-up. Turns out, Thomas likes me. I might be the happiest person in the world. At the same time, I'm deeply in love with him. He happens to feel the same way. I think love and being loved can truly happen at once.